Okay, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about what might just be the most powerful and honestly the most underrated tool you have in your career toolkit, the personal project. And no, it's not just a hobby. It's a secret weapon, a strategic asset that can absolutely get you hired.
I mean, think about it for a second. Is your resume really telling the whole story about you? It's just a piece of paper with a list of claims. It says you know Python, it says you led a project, but in a sea of thousands of other resumes that all look the same, how do you actually prove it? A traditional resume, it just can't show your passion, your real problem-solving skills, or that fire you have to build something cool from scratch.
And that, my friends, is where this idea comes in. A personal project is basically the new professional currency. It's not a claim, it's solid, tangible proof. It's a live portfolio that shows the hiring manager, hey, I don't just know the theory, I can actually ship features, I can solve real problems, and I can create something of value. It is the ultimate proof that you can, in fact, do the work. So here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to look beyond that traditional resume. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty of choosing the right kind of project. After that, how to craft it like a pro, how to make sure people actually see your work, and finally, how to tell your project stories so you can nail that interview.
Okay, first up, beyond the traditional resume. Let's really break down why a good project speaks so much louder than a few bullet points on a page.
Now, this is absolutely fascinating. There's this fundamental disconnect in how hiring works. You see, HR is usually the first gatekeeper, and they're scanning for keywords, for metrics, just to see if you pass that initial screening. But the tech lead, the person who might be your future boss, they're looking for something totally different. They want to see real problem-solving skills, technical depth, and actual proof that you can ship features. Your project is the bridge that connects those two worlds.
And you know, the importance of that bridge really changes depending on where you are in your career. If you're a junior or just starting out, a personal project is absolutely critical. It's the closest thing you have to real-world experience. But for a seasoned pro, it's less about proving what you already know and more of a strategic play, a way to show you're picking up a new technology or diving into a new industry.
Okay, so that brings us to what is maybe the most important part of this whole thing. Section 2, choosing the right project. And if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. It's not about being hard, it's about being useful. So what should you probably stay away from? Well, you've seen them. The to-do list app, the basic weather app, the Twitter clone. Look, these are fantastic for learning the ropes, for sure. But the problem is, thousands of other people have built the exact same thing. They show you can follow a tutorial, but they don't really show off your originality or your own unique way of thinking. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. It comes from this great case study about a data scientist who got hired without a degree. Why? Because his projects, like a tool that automated his job search, weren't the most complex things ever built. But interviewers absolutely loved them. Not because they were hard, but because they were genuinely useful. They solved a real problem. So this whole idea of usefulness, it really comes down to these three pillars. Every great project has them. Number one, it demonstrates real-world problem solving. Number two, it showcases your technical skills and that you know what you're doing. And number three, it delivers results you can actually point to and measure.
All right, let's move on to section 3, crafting your masterpiece. Because once you've picked a useful idea, how you build it says just as much about you as what you build.
Okay, let's talk about your Git history. Because you can bet a technical hiring manager is going to look at it. It's basically your digital footprint. A clean history with frequent, small commits and clear messages, that shows you're disciplined and methodical. But one single giant commit with a message like, here's the code, that's a huge red flag. It kind of suggests a lack of professional habits.
And please don't forget your documentation. Your README file is the executive summary of your entire project. A hiring manager is busy. They might only give you 30 seconds. A well-written README lets them understand the value of what you built instantly, without having to dig through a single line of your code. You have to make it count.
So that brings us to section 4, making your work visible. This part is huge. You can build the most amazing, useful project in the world, but if it's just sitting on your hard drive where no one can see it, well, it might as well not exist.
So here's a quick and dirty checklist. On your resume, you got to use metrics to prove your impact. On GitHub, pin your best repositories right to the top so it's the first thing people see. And here's a little hack for LinkedIn. Consider listing a major project under Work Experience. The platform's algorithm loves that section, so it gives you way more visibility when recruiters are searching.
When we say quantifiable metrics, what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, it means turning a statement like, I redesigned a website, into something like, I developed a new user interface that resulted in a 45% increase in user engagement. See the difference? One is just what you did. The other is the result of what you did. And results are what get people hired.
And that brings us to our final section, telling your project's story. This is where you bring it all home. You've built it, you've made it visible, now you have to talk about it in a way that actually wins you the job. To keep yourself from rambling in an interview, and we've all been there, use a simple structure like the CARS framework. C is for context, what was the problem? A is for action, what did you do about it? R is for result, what happened? And this last one, S, is so important. S is for next steps. How do you plan to make it better? It shows you're thinking about the entire life cycle of a project.
Your project is also the perfect way to prove those tricky soft skills. So instead of just saying, yeah, I'm a good problem solver, you can tell a story. You could say, well, the first API I tried to use had awful documentation, so I had to adapt and build a custom web scraper instead. See? You're using a real example from your project to make your skills tangible and memorable.
And this all comes right back to that data scientist we were talking about. He didn't have the degree, but his projects, the Resume Optimizer, the Application Tracker, they were so practical and so useful, they proved his skills better than any diploma ever could. He showed he could find a problem and build a real solution. At the end of the day, that's what employers are desperately looking for.
So a personal project is so much more than just another line on your resume. It's a living, breathing story about your skills, your passion, and your discipline. It's a career catalyst. So the only real question left is, what will you build?